We all know that stiff joints and tight muscles don't feel great at all. They also limit our ability to move freely and perform well, and even negatively affect all the everyday things we do in our lives. So how should you take care of your joint health? Should you mobilize every single joint of your body every day? What about passive stretches, and which exercises should you use for that? Well, first of all, you need to know that there are three major abilities: mobility, flexibility, and stability. Mobility is the ability of a joint to move actively through a range of motion. Flexibility is the ability of a muscle or muscle group to lengthen passively through a range of motion. And stability is our body's ability to return to a desired position or trajectory following a disturbance. So some areas of your body benefit more from stability work, while others rely more on a mix of all three. To get it right, we show you in detail which area requires which ability the most, and of course which exercises are perfect for that. So let's not waste any more time and start right away with the wrists. This joint requires good flexibility and stability for most exercises. No matter if you do push-ups, handstands or train with weights, the wrist is always under pressure in these movements. So if you want to avoid short or long-term injuries, you have to prepare them first. Some of the best exercises for this purpose are wrist circles and loaded flexions and extensions. Here you can adjust the pressure step by step over time by increasing the weight you put on them. The next joint are the elbows. Many of the muscles of both the upper and lower arm either cross or attach to at least one component of the elbow joint. This makes it no surprise that besides the shoulder, the elbow joint is one of the most affected upper body joints from sports-related injuries. That's the reason why the elbow joint heavily relies on stability in the first place. Here we won't suggest any specific exercise because most shoulder and wrist related exercises already include your elbow joint. No matter if you do wrist circles, shoulder movements or just support yourself on the ground, the elbow joint always works in some way. Now we are continuing with the shoulder. The shoulder is the most mobile joint of our body and benefits the most from mobility and stability training. Of course, this doesn't mean that flexibility is totally useless. If you got very tight lats and pecs, you can benefit from flexibility training as well. Since the shoulder is a very complex joint, we got many different exercises for different purposes. Good all-rounders are prone arm circles and band-resisted exercises in which you work all functions of your shoulder in a complex movement. When it comes to more specific movements, we suggest passive hangs and active prone raises for opening the shoulder. In addition, we recommend easy bridges for working on the shoulder extension, as well as stick supported movements for the same purpose. Alright, let's move on to the spine. Here we need a mix between mobility and stability. The best exercise for this purpose is the cat-cow. It focuses on the most negatively affected part when it comes to mobility, which is the thoracic spine, but also includes extension and flexion for the lumbar and cervical part as well. If the basic cat-cow is too easy for you, it's no problem to modify it a bit. Another good exercise is the quadruped reach, because here you also include spinal rotation. The next joint is the hip. Here we choose the deep squat hip rotation because it's the best all-rounder for this joint. It not only mixes mobility and flexibility, it also works on your hip flexion, rotation and extension. If you are a beginner or are not that mobile, we suggest to use your hands as a support. This ensures that you can switch between the different positions in a controlled and slow manner. Next we got the knee joint, and here we got many similarities with the elbow. The knee is the most vulnerable joint of the lower body, and you should focus on stability in the first place. We suggest exercises like elevated pistols, Bulgarian split squats and lunges, as well as balancing on one leg. The goal is to improve your stability by working the muscles of your neighboring joints, in other words the hips and the ankles, while challenging but not overstressing your knees. The last joint is the ankle. Similar to the wrist, we have to focus on flexibility and stability in the first place. Most people got problems with the ankle flexion, which directly transfers to their squat ability. The best exercises to work on this weak point are done in a lunge position. Here you can also work on your eversion and inversion. You can do this exercise on the ground, but also in an elevated position on a bench, as long as you make sure that your heel doesn't lift off. Another great way to work on your ankle mobility are prying goblet squats, in which you shift your weight to different directions. We suggest a circling motion to target your ankles optimally. The additional weight is necessary to counterbalance your body weight due to the immobility of your ankles. It also helps you to increase your range of motion when doing your mobility work. If you have no additional weights, you can do a deep squat while holding yourself onto an object. Alright, now we covered every major joint. The question that remains is how many days a week should you do these exercises and for how many sets and reps? Well, this really depends on your current experience and any limitations or challenges you might have in your mobility. In general, we suggest the same approach we use in our mobility program. Start with only 2 to 3 days a week, and if that feels good for you, you can ramp up the volume to 4, 5 or even 6 days a week. We also suggest to start with around 30 seconds per exercise with 3 sets and increase the volume over time. Please keep in mind that mobility, flexibility and even stability work is not the same as training for strength or building muscle. If you don't include extreme long-lasting passive stretches, you can do mobility training nearly every day. All exercises in this video can also be found in our mobility program. Instead of strict sets, we combine these and many other exercises to a mobility flow system. This not only saves time, it's also way more fun, highly effective and doesn't get boring too quickly. If you like this video and our approach, just head over to calimove.com and get your mobility program right now. My name is Alex and I'll see you in the next video.